Hmm.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the Green Nurse Podcast, where we bring hope and inspiration for growth and healing. And we're here to change the dialogue and stigma around what it means to feel good or be high. H for hope, I for inspiration, G for growth, and H for healing. And we often talk about things that people don't want to talk about. However, they're very important subjects to discuss to decrease stigma for healing. However, today we're going to talk about something very, very exciting, our merger. And we all don't wake up one day and decide to enter into the cannabis space. There's usually a compelling story that goes along with that plunge. And also, what makes individuals come together to combine forces for the greater good in the cannabis space? Tonight, I'm going to be interviewing two amazing individuals who I'm honored to be working with and bringing the Green Nurses to their platform so we can continue to grow globally to serve patients and assist providers in getting the education that they need to help more patients. I've interviewed both of these amazing leaders in the cannabis space, and now I'm bringing them on together to discuss how all of us are going to change the world with our combined platforms. Tonight, I have Elizabeth Mack, founder and CEO of Holistic Caring Network, and Tasha Jackson, Vice President of Program Development. And we're going to be discussing our plan for global expansion. But first, I'm going to have Tasha read the press release that was just released last week. Thank you, Tasha.
All right, let me go ahead and let's see. So legislation is moving quickly on cannabis, with 37 states allowing medical use and 19 allowing adult use or recreational access. Americans can buy CBD in all 50 states, and about 70% of our country can purchase THC. All understand the fall of prohibition means that this can now be incorporated into their lives in some way. So what does that mean, and what's next? Several pioneers developed the staying power to lead others to navigate these changes. Two of the earliest, Holistic Caring and the Green Nurse, have now joined forces to revolutionize this emerging industry. As the forces of capitalism, profit-making, restorative justice, and social equity programs flood the mainstream marijuana markets, Holistic Caring and the Green Nurse have built the medicinal approach designed to maximize the therapeutic potentials. Holistic Caring, which is based in California, was founded in 2016 by Elizabeth Mack, RN, BSN, BA, MBA, first healing herself from 20 years of orthopedic issues that conventional pharmaceuticals could not. She opened a private practice to navigate the system for patients, teaching other nurses along the way and developing a comprehensive curriculum and toolkit of business, building patient teaching forms and presentations so healthcare professionals can plug and play. The Green Nurse, which is based in Massachusetts, was founded in 2016 by Sherry Tuckis, RN BSN, healing herself from near death with plant therapeutics, finding hope and restoration with cannabinoids. Sherry created her practice to guide patients, creating a community of advanced nurses to write recommendation cards for safe access and educate patients. Green Nurse Approved became the stamp of approval for vetted brands to create a patient marketplace. As East meets West, our strategic visions have merged into the most comprehensive programs available to transform how we access, understand, and utilize medicinal cannabis to optimize health. The curriculum and programs will reshape how you think about this plant, wrongly demonized for 100 years, inspiring you to learn the deep science on why these compounds nourish and restore body, mind, spirit, tackling root causes of disease. You'll learn the modern products available along with pharmacology and protocols of how they work in the body. The curriculum is complemented by necessary programming to enable healthcare professionals to implement this know-how into their practice, gaining a value differential over their peers and being the first to advance Health 3.0 principles. Health 3.0 utilizes the best from every category of healing, including modern technology and pharmaceuticals, folding the integrative principles to unite the body, mind, spirit, returning the patient to intuitive healing process. Holistic Caring and the Green Nurse have created the one-stop shop for practitioners to step into the medicinal cannabis world, educated and mentored by other healthcare professionals. Take the courses, join the masterminds, partake in the Green Nurse approved marketplace to access the best wholesale CBD and gain business building basics for your practice. You can even apply to be a part of our global telehealth platform, Healing the World One at a Time.
Yay, that was a mouthful, but Tasha, thank you so much. What a great, great introduction. I am so honored and so humbled to be part of the Holistic Caring Network program. Elizabeth, thank you so much. I'm humbled to announce that I'm going to be the Vice President of Nursing for both of our platforms as they merge. And I couldn't be happier to bring this well-oiled ecosystem to more people globally. So thank you for inviting us, Elizabeth, to your platform. You know, both Elizabeth and Tasha have been on the show before, which has been amazing, great shows. But what I want them to do is just do a little basic introductory before we get into what we're going to be doing on a global scale. So Elizabeth, will you please introduce yourself to our viewers?
Yeah, well, thank you, Sherry. And it's an honor to merge companies and efforts with you, taking this up to the next level. And the lovely Tasha Jackson's been with me the last year and a half, developing these courses into online platforms that are really going to revolutionize medicine and this world. So a little bit about me. You heard a little bit about my background, but I've been an RN for 35 years and spent my first 10 in hospitals and knew I didn't want to spend any more. I got an MBA in healthcare administration, spent the next 20 years in health plans and working, you know, really in a health plan and in an HMO type of market, you know, where you have the guidance, the care prep delivery, you know, and the financing. And so everything is a one-stop shop. And, you know, when we talk about the ecosystem we're building here, it's on that same type of model, right? How do we take all the knowledge and the guidance that is needed, pair that with the best people to deliver the care, and equip them with the best products that can then serve patients through programs. And so, you know, that's my shortcut to what the ecosystem is. But, you know, I've been kind of a nerd for all my life. And I'm just a big visionary thinker and a dreamer, you know. And so when at the end of 2014, I crashed my bicycle. And at that time, I was running sales for Anthem Blue Cross for the county of San Diego. And I knew I wanted to do something else, but I didn't know I was going to have to crash my bicycle to get there. So I went out on leave to have surgery. And a week after surgery, I went back to my chiropractor's office. And she says, well, why don't you have Denise, my medical massage person, work out your shoulder with some therapy? And I said, okay. And so the therapist then was using CBD in the oil. And this is January of 2015. And it was, you know, some homegrown CBD from Humboldt flower and coconut oil. So it smelled like cannabis. And I said, hey, what is this? And she said, it's cannabis. And I'm like, well, why are you putting cannabis on me? And she said, it's anti-inflammatory. It's going to calm down some of the pain and get you back to that pre-surgical arm faster. And I said, sign me up and tell me more. And the next thing you know, I'm studying and I'm researching and I'm taking CBD internally and some flash dried capsules and using the topical. And I didn't need the Motrin as much. And then I didn't need the muscle relaxants. And, you know, it was one day at a time. But as I sort of unfolded the potential for cannabis to heal me, I said, you know, I need to really dig deep into this and study it even further. And I did all the research on PubMed, started reading all the online search engines that, you know, you open up Pandora's box, right? You get from one to another, and I couldn't stop. So I still worked in insurance some of 2015, but I really was, you know, getting into this industry and saying, how can I continue to heal myself? And then what can I do to help others? Because this is going to be my new career. And I haven't looked back. It's been, you know, one difficulty after another, because cannabis, as you know, is a Schedule I drug, which makes it a very precarious situation for us and for patients, which makes our guidance all that much more necessary to really bridge the gap between conventional and cannabis care, because it can be life-changing and revolutionary for patients. And they just don't have a clue on how to access and optimize cannabis. And that's, you know, the shorthand, you know, in the past 7 years, what I've been building as far as systems to give patients and providers the basic understanding and the inspiration to join us and to really make a difference, in healthcare.
Excellent. Excellent. And that's the part that's so nice too, Elizabeth, is that our platforms, as we come together, is we look at a lot of different things. We're looking at through the lens of both a provider, a clinician, a nurse, and a patient, right? So that's what makes us just a little bit different, is that we encompass all of it. We look through the lens of multiple different perspectives when we're working with not only patients, but with providers that are coming to us for education. Really, really good stuff.
Yeah.
And so Tasha, I would love for you to introduce yourself. You have been just absolutely amazing to work with as we've gotten started on this journey
thanks.
to merge. And your story is just compelling as well. I just love it. And for the people that haven't watched the show last time, just kind of give everyone a little blurb of how you got into the cannabis space and how you met Elizabeth.
Sure. So I have a master's degree in education. I was a classroom teacher for over 10 years. I do still do some education things here and there, but for the most part, I quit my job last year whenever I joined Holistic Caring, and I left the classroom permanently. And so my wellness journey actually started 20 years ago. I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism. I had gained 100 pounds in a year. I was severely depressed. And, I went to the doctor, and the doctor is treating, each symptom individually. And I knew that there had to be something more. Plus, I watched my mother struggle with opiates, and I watched her struggle with antidepressants and lots of other medications. And so I did not want to follow in that route. So I started, basically that was how I was introduced to plant medicine. And so, moving into aromatherapy, starting with different herbs, that was the start of my journey. Fast forward to 2018, I'm struggling with severe tendonitis in my right arm. It's getting worse. Don't know what to do. My PCP, not only being an integrative medicine and palliative care doctor, if you can even imagine, she's just this amazing human being, also was an herbalist. And so she was, she's a big proponent of, herbs and supplements first before we prescribe pharmaceuticals. And so she was the one who turned me on to CBD, to a topical CBD to use for my arm. And I didn't really know that much about it. She couldn't really educate me. I would ask her questions, and she would tell me that she couldn't answer my questions. But, the relationship between her and I, her daughter was my student. And so she at least, knew me well enough that she could give that type of advice to me, but she couldn't guide me any further than that. And so then, So then whenever, I started delving more and more into plant medicine, just for general things, whenever you have a cold, whenever you have a sinus infection, if you have a headache. I also started doing energy work, energy healing with Tao and Reiki. So just dabbling into these things, but not really being as aggressive with it as I am now. And so then last year in 2020 is whenever Elizabeth had reached out to me and was basically like, hey, I need a course designer. Can you build a program? And I'm like, yeah, sure. 6 weeks in my sleep, no problem. Because I'm so used to, designing lesson plans and building courses and things like that. And so what came from that was, 6 weeks of very intensively working with Elizabeth and being on this journey with her, basically me tagging along for the ride is kind of how I feel at some point. It's at some times when I'm just like, I can't believe that this is my life now. I can't believe that, 20 years ago, whenever I stepped out into the wellness journey to transform my health, that would lead to plant medicine, to Chinese medicine, to energy healing, and then now finding cannabis. And so to me, this, again, like I wake up every day and I can't believe this is my life. And so one reason I left the classroom was because I really wanted to educate people on plant medicine, not only cannabis, but, as an herbalist, a full entourage of all of these things together, and promote health and wellness. And how can I use my talents and my skills as an educator to educate others that also want to be on this journey?
Yeah, very, very powerful stuff. Great stuff. And so, and I'll just kind of share for the new viewers that are jumping on for the first time, is my story is like many other health professionals that come into the cannabis space, is I came on as a patient first. The traditional system had failed me by no fault of its own. And I truly believe and know in my heart, truth with a capital T, that if providers, nurses, doctors knew about the endocannabinoid system, I would not have suffered as much as I suffered. So the traditional system failed me in such a way that I did experience medical and pharmaceutical trauma. And in the end, I was suicidal. We call it circling the drain of despair. And then when cannabis came into my life, cannabis truly, truly opened up doorways that I never knew existed. It helped me to step out of the story of sickness and the trajectory of illness. And I started to use this plant to heal. And the healing of the plant took time. It took me a while to figure out how to make cannabis work for me. And when I was sitting there, I said, oh gosh, if I can figure this out, you can call me the green nurse. And I figured it out. I got a medical card. I started doing research. And I started learning about how to make cannabis work for me. And it was the endocannabinoid system that I finally grasped and understood and said, wow, there are so many people out there that don't understand this plant, don't understand how it works. And it's been demonized for so long. So the green nurse was birthed upon the discovery that I had an endocannabinoid system. And so here we are years later. I've been working as a nurse, a coach, a consultant, doing media, podcasts, pop-ups, helped build some CBD companies, have really, really stepped into the space and embraced this plant and other plant medicines for healing. And it just became a point in time. I didn't have a home, right? So you think about it. I built this from my bed, from my house, from my apartment, going from, different CBD stores. And now finally, the green nurses have a home at Holistic Caring Network. So this was my dream as well, to have a big space where everyone can come together. I call it the unity consciousness. Everyone's coming together as the entourage, right? You think about the plant, whole plant medicine we talk about all the time as being, the epitome of how we want to use cannabinoids. So you think about all of us coming together in this space. We are the entourage of change. We're coming together to help heal and elevate plant medicines, to teach patients, to teach people, and to teach providers. So I am really, really grateful to be part of the Holistic Caring Network as your Vice President of Nursing. And I promise you that I will, you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep building it and taking it to the next level and inspiring people, bringing them hope, and, come along for the ride. So now let's get into, now that I've just blabbed a little bit, let's get into how we're going to do that on a global scale. Like, what does it look like? And what I want to start with, Elizabeth, is what that ecosystem looks like. I think that we'll start with that, and then I'm going to ask Tasha some questions. What does a well-oiled ecosystem look like?
Well, an ecosystem, in my opinion. So what I've been doing as this visionary thinker and leader is creating programs, right? Because you have to have a roadmap, right? And so the programs stemmed out from a nursing training manual, because initially I wrote a training manual to bring other nurses in and understand how this works as a medicine, and about the endocannabinoid system and all of the different phytocannabinoids and how they work in the body, and pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamics, and how to interlace them with pharmaceuticals and stay safe. So you need all of that training, right? That's the process. And then you have to take that process and continuously innovate and evolve it, so that you're adding new research and trials and equipping people to really be top of the game, their game, in working with patients. And when I'm saying people, I mean providers, right? So right. Providers that are in all stripes, so all licenses. So we're RNs and nurses are putting their hands up and saying, I will coach patients, because nurses are natural educators. We're leaders. We know how to work with patients. We know medicine. We know community care and hospitals and health systems and how the basics of that work. But we need to extend this beyond nurses to chiropractors, acupuncturists, naturopaths, doctors of osteopathy, medical doctors in time. And so basically taking the process to train the providers and then get vetted products. So there's a lot of medicine out there that doesn't meet our specifications, as flow criteria, flower derived, lab tested, organic, and whole plant. Because when you're trying to bring somebody medicine who's sick, you have to have good quality medicines. And so for the most part, a lot of the medicine out there is made for profits, not for patients. And so we need to do the vetting to bring good formulated medicines into the network. And then the patients need programs. They need direct care. They need somebody that's going to sit down with them on one-to-one basis and explain it all to them and ask them their questions, a holistic assessment, a regular pharmaceutical assessment. What have you tried? And, most of the patients we're dealing with now have very serious diseases and stage 4 cancer. I had a new client this morning with melanoma and metastasis to the brain, the liver, the bones, the spine, lots of pain, sleep issues, trying all kinds of things, not wanting to really get into conventional oncology and chemotherapy, using some targeted immunotherapies, which are good, but then all of the holistic things. And I asked her, are you using, are you forthright with your oncologist about this? She goes, no, I'm just going to the oncologist to get the labs, to get the scans, to know what we're doing so that we can have benchmarks. And it's like, what this ecosystem needs to do is bring the process to providers to get products to patients through programs. And so, that is what we're building here, the way to connect the dots to serve patients, because at the end of the day, this is about patients. This is bringing something that is revolutionary to patients, because the healthcare system won't do it. Right. I spent 30 years in conventional care, and 20 of them for insurance carriers. And we're spending $3.5 trillion in healthcare costs in this country. And we're still, 42nd in outcomes of preventable illness and really living up to our full potential. And 80% of our care is chronic care and diseases that need to be managed and not just treated with a pharmaceutical or a procedure. And because of the incentives in healthcare, really being driven towards pharmaceuticals and more procedures, we're leaving the patients out. So all of us healed ourselves first, and now we're bringing that to the world so that we can take this ecosystem to everybody so that they all have a chance to truly heal and know what well-being means.
Absolutely. So yeah, I've been a nurse 25 years at the bedside, and honestly, huge disconnect between health and care. Yeah. As nurses, we do care. We look at everything. We look at the biopsychosocial, spiritual aspects of healing. And when we're in that traditional system, we often don't get to mental, emotional, spiritual care because we're so inundated with what needs to be done with the human body. So as cannabis nurses, what we're doing is we're bringing more of that mental, emotional, spiritual component, because in the traditional system, we focus on body parts, we focus on diagnoses, we focus on symptom management, pharmaceuticals. Like I said, if we're lucky, we get to mental, emotional care, and rarely do we get to spiritual. So what we're kind of doing things is just a little bit different, right? Connecting with people first, finding out what they want and need, and bringing it to them through plant medicines and other progressive tools that support and nourish the endocannabinoid system. So from my perspective too, working as a consulting coaching nurse with the Green Nurse, I've had nurses come to me and I've been able to do mentorship and work with them and to teach them to educate. But now there's more nurses that are coming, and I needed a program and a platform that was going to solidify every single thing that I felt that they should know. And I needed them to really, really understand it. And so Elizabeth's program that she's created with Tasha is completely 100% outstanding. And so nurses that want to come consult with us, I am so excited to have you be on board. But I'll tell you what, the classes at Holistic Caring are the classes that you need to take, because it is going to give you every single thing that you need to lead up to becoming an effective health coach, a health cannabis coach, coaching nurse, consulting nurse, whatever your title is. So I'm really, really excited to be able to offer these courses, because nurses are coming to us all the time. Where do I start? Where do I go? And there's great organizations that are out there, but the one that we're building and developing is comprehensive. So it's not only providing the self-paced modules, but it's also the mentorship, the mastermind, the clinical application, working with real live patients. If you think about when you go to nursing school, right? You go to nursing school, you sit in a classroom and you get all that head full of knowledge, right? And then where you apply it is when you actually have your clinical in the hospital. Well, there's no one there that's doing this in cannabis nursing but us, right? So we have the real live patients to teach the providers, the nurses, the doctors that can sit in on and learn, because it's really, really different. I remember when I graduated from nursing school and I started working in the hospital, I was like, whoa, they didn't teach me this. It was so different, the application. And so having that real live application, working with patients in person is really, really going to help so many different clinicians get to those levels of being comfortable coaching patients right away. And so that's what I really love, is that ecosystem for nurses,
Well,
to come onto the platform.
Yeah, and you've been doing such a great job mentoring nurses, but you did need the programs, right? Because there's so much out there where people can learn. And, the good thing about the programs that we've created at Holistic Caring is that, I've done all the other programs, right? So, I've been to dozens of conferences over the past 7 years of, cannabis industry and cannabis medicine and functional medicine, the Academy of Integrative Health and Medicine. And so all of that is in the course. So we go through the basics of cannabis, right, and teach you about the history of how we used it therapeutically as medicine for thousands of years, and then what happened with prohibition, where corporate interests and racism really drove it away from us 100 years ago, and all of that into the Israelis, and how they really took it upon themselves. Well, the NIH from America funded Raphael Mechoulam so that he was able to do the research and to be able to break down and synthesize THC, and then that they were off and running. Now, where does it go in the body? Well, we light up like a Christmas tree. Why? We're hardwired for this plant. Why? Because of the endocannabinoid system, and these phytocannabinoids are essential nutrients that nourish this system back to homeostasis. What is homeostasis? If you're hungry, you need to eat. If you're too hot, you need to cool down. If you're tired, you need to sleep. If you have checkpoints at each one of your cells and they're not communicating essentially, then effectively, then you need to fix that. And it's like calling the phone company and repairing the wiring. And that's what we're doing in the body by nourishing this system, is connecting the superhighway again, so that our body can return to well-being and to function. And it's really not rocket science, but because of the stigma and the prohibition, where people really think this is something dangerous, there's so much fear around it. So, like you, a lot of times I start with a patient and say, this is about inspiring you to hope again, because once we get to some root cause issues and you start to couple that with some of the functional medicine, improving the diet, improving, how do you use cannabinoids to actually move? How do you use cannabinoids to mitigate pain so that you can take a walk each day, so that you can stretch, so that you can use a little bit of THC before you eat things that you thought you didn't like salads and vegetables and things that are going to actually give you nutrition and not just food, right? So all of this is in the course. So the basics of the, the pharmacodynamics and kinetics of the plant, and then, we teach people in the self-guided healing programs, as well as the course, how this works as medicine for all of the common conditions that people struggle with: cancer, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, MS, autoimmune conditions, mental health, autism, epilepsy, just general functional medicine. And the way that I approach things is, what does conventional care do? First of all, what's the incidence and prevalence of this condition? How big of a problem is it? And, if we just take cancer, 1 out of 3 of us are going to have it at some point in our lives if we live long enough, right? And so what does conventional care do? Where does that fall short? How are the patients harmed by that in side effects and that sort of thing, and quality of life impairment? And then how do we use cannabinoids to raise the bar and give them better quality of life and better healing pathways and less interactions with some of the other things that are going on, and lowering the dosages of the pharmaceuticals, because that's almost always needing to be a goal. And then what is a treatment plan, and what are the protocols for starting cannabinoids? And so when we teach people, we teach them literally soup to nuts on everything that they could possibly want to learn. And then couple that with industry knowledge about regulations, about licensing, about protections for patients and providers, and how to interlace this with a practice to serve the modern patient. And so, what we're doing is really revolutionary, but it has to happen. And so, I've sold everything I had so that I could do this business, because it's that important that we change healthcare.
I completely 100% agree with you. Amazing. Amazing. So Tasha, so let's talk a little bit about transitioning, moving from education to healthcare really quickly. What was that like? What are the challenges and the rewards of this transition?
So for me, actually, so if you all recall the last time we were having the meeting, we were talking about what is the challenge. And I said, well, one of the things still is that it's not a demographic that I have worked with before. However, what I'm finding as I'm talking to different nurses and as I'm going through this process and having conversations with doctors is that the education system and the healthcare system are very, very similar. And so transitioning over has been actually very easy. That's been the easiest part, has been the transition, because like as a teacher, I go to school and then I have an internship with another teacher where I learn, how to be a teacher. And then I teach some, and then I get my diploma and I go out on my own. And then I go into my own classroom and say, holy smokes, this is not what I learned in school. I better figure this out right now. And then having to renew licensing with CE and, maintain my level of professionalism, things like that. All of that is exactly the same. And so the similarities actually have been instrumental in helping to train and guide and mentor nurses, because I can say, okay, well, this is the exact same in education as it is in healthcare. And so this is, I know that since it's the same, similar kind of industry setup, mainframe, you're going to need to experience these types of things. And so that has, the reward of that has been that I've been able to develop these programs in such a way that not only do I need instinctively know what people need to have in there, but also, again, how do I most effectively mentor and guide, especially as nurses are striking out on their own and trying to build their own business. And so, while I have not worked with this demographic before, that's the challenge, especially the patients. Of course, I've had some patients that were special needs in my classroom, but this is on a much grander scale than just 2 or 3 kids out of 30, right? And so while that has been the challenge that I have really worked hard to meet, to make sure that those patients are taken care of with education, the reward has been I further get to understand what it is like and what nurses need in order to train and mentor them.
And the beauty of what Tasha has brought to holistic caring. So, I think everybody knows what I know. So I teach, and I'm teaching the what, I'm teaching a little bit of the how, but Tasha brings it back to how do we get these people to really learn and understand and comprehend? So our courses, after every module, every unit, there's quizzes to test the knowledge that you've attained and to really go back and see, how you're progressing in this. And then assignments to go out and apply this. Do some due diligence out on dispensary websites and look for COAs on CBD and try and do that discernment for yourself and your family, and then you can start to practice on that with patients, right? And so we've created this system so that people go through our course platform really, absorbing, using and retaining the knowledge that they learn. And then when they get done, then they bounce into the masterminds, get our clinical case studies each month that, we go through. And like this month, I'm going to be talking about migraines and, how do we treat migraines with conventional care? How do we use cannabinoids to decrease the frequency, decrease the intensity of those migraines? And then, what are the next steps in, really being able to take this into traditional care? Because, like with migraines, there's an app, right? So there's a migraine app where people can rate their migraines and talk about what they're doing. 10,000 people are using this app. They asked the people in the app, are you using cannabis? And 30% of them said yes. And those that said yes, the 80% of them said it was effective to decrease the frequency and severity. And it's like, now we're able to loop in, data tracking and to say there is efficacy. There is, more than enough grounds to overturn the Schedule 1 restriction on cannabis as having no medical benefits. So, we're only scratching the surface, but there has to be leaders. And you and I stepped up many years ago and said, this is something we're committed to. And we've been building ever since. And now we're ready to really launch this into the world at the same time where America is really waking up to the fact that this is a medicine. The prohibition has caused massive amount of harm to generations of people. And we need restorative justice as much as we need restorative healthcare, which is Health 3.0.
Yes. Well, okay, Health 3.0. You brought it up. Here we go. Boom, you're on.
Well, yeah,
it's a new concept for people. It's a new concept.
Yeah, it is a new concept. But, going back to the right way to take care of people, what was Health 1.0, right? We needed to get basic sanitation and vaccines and to be able to get, the impetus of general public health. And then 2.0 is, how do we innovate the care delivery systems to really try and take care of chronic disease? And really that was, with the HIV/AIDS issues and some of the evolution of healthcare, but, they really never finished the job. And Health 3.0 is really restoring people to break down the silos between healthcare institutions and patients and providers and return more autonomy to the communities to be doing things that they need to do for patient care. And then on a personal level, as far as how we're going to roll this out, it's all about education and empowerment down to the individual level. Because, people have been a pawn in the healthcare system, right? It's like I go from this doctor to this doctor to this doctor, and I get all of these different meds and polypharmacy, and nothing's really working. And we see them all in our one-to-one client sessions. It's cacophony and nothing is effective. So in my dream, with educated and empowered patients, where we remove the obstacles and barriers to accessing care and understanding and giving them optimized treatment plans with regular check-ins and adjustments and getting somebody to even learn how to read their body again and not be detached from, cause and effect, right? That's one of the hardest things to do. How do you feel 1 to 10 on pain, anxiety, your memory, your focus, your joy, your mood, your energy, your sleep? And then how are the cannabinoids that you're taking, impacting that? And getting people to really tune within and to say, wow, I really am doing well. And getting them to be able to walk away from those pills. I really don't need any more Motrin, or I don't need that opiate. And here's why. Because, I'm feeling better. I'm able to move again. I'm able to go out and be less disabled and more active and engaged. And I'm steering my own ship. And then their joy starts coming and their agency of being a person that is, able to steer their own ship. And that is priceless to be able to return that to people. And so, 3.0 is really back to the individual and the community where we can impact change.
Amazing. Great stuff. Very, very excited. Back to you, Tasha. So we have an online platform, a community. So will you explain that to our viewers, how to get on, what it's like to navigate it, how you've made it easy for everyone?
Yeah, sure. Because I think that technology, depending on what the age is the largest barrier. And so we've tried to make it as easy as possible because we are on particular platforms, and then we have conversations between our website and our platform. So there's some tech stuff that happens in between there that we don't necessarily have control over, but we have put in place things to make it a little bit easier. And so whenever you guys click the link below, there we go. Whenever you click the link below, what will happen is you will have a request to join form. And so you will request to join. And then I will see that. I will look at that because, again, per the last video, I'm kind of the mama bear, eyes in the sky, making sure that everyone who's in our network is safe, because we do want it to be a very safe space for all patients and all providers. And we want to make sure that it stays, very private and secure. And so once I approve you, then you'll receive a follow-up email from Elizabeth Mack via Mighty Networks. And that will be your click to join button is big and green. So you click to join and then you're in. And so whenever you're in, then at some point, because of the merger, we're very busy right now. So I'm about a week behind on welcoming people. If you're new to our network, by the way, welcome. And we're so happy to have you. But usually I get in right away within a couple of hours, and then I send a welcome and then I send a tutorial. So the tutorial walks you through how to use the network. It talks about the navigation, especially how to change your notifications, how to look at the events, how to join the patient portal. If you're interested in purchasing any programs, how to go ahead and go back to the website and purchase programs. And I've tried to make the tutorial as comprehensive as possible. We also have tutorials. If you purchase a program, we have a tutorial that walks you through the benefits of that program and everything that is there so that you don't miss it. And so again, moving into technology days, I've tried to create as many tutorials, as many instructions, tried to make it as easy as possible for everyone to access, because again, we know that people struggle with technology. And if anyone ever has any questions, everyone is always free to reach out to me if they have issues or if they need help or if they need some guidance.
All right. So cool. So just for people that are joining now, the Green Nurse Holistic Caring Community, the link is right there. It is free to join. It's a network for patients, providers, nurses, people that are interested in cannabis as medicine. There's a free introductory to cannabis course, free patient support group, free book club, and a free monthly webinar. So this is just a great place to come. It's private, uncensored, and you'll have access to all of us, and we'll be able to answer your questions and guide and direct you. There's also the affiliate programs are in there. There's a calendar, there's different topics, patient portal, provider portal. So there's a lot of really, really great resources in there. So if you're new, please come join us, come check us out. If you're not so new, this is the place you want to be for sure. If you're interested in cannabis and how to evolve in this space as a clinician.
Well, yeah, if you want to engage and connect with the right people doing the right things at the right time for the right motives, that's us, right? This industry is got its issues, right? I mean, globally, there are all kinds of twists and turns in this pathway, and we have to really band together. I'm on the board of NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, working with ASA, Americans for Safe Access, on the board of the American Cannabis Nurses Association, serving as treasurer, and the Cannabis Chamber of Commerce here in California. So I stay really busy, but because of that, we're connected, right? And we have our pulse on the industry, and we'll always be building with tomorrow in mind so that we help you guys pivot and adjust as life happens, right?
Yes, absolutely. So Elizabeth, what makes holistic caring programs the best in the industry?
Comprehension, Tasha Jackson, of course, but the comprehensive nature of this, literally everything that you need to learn is in here in what I call the big course, in the licensing program and in the cannabis health coach program, and then the other programs, right? So what makes holistic caring programs the best is that we have something for everything. We have a CBD wellness coach, which is the basics of the endocannabinoid system, how CBD works in the body, the different kinds of receptor targets it's going to activate, how it works to nourish the system, and then how to use functional medicine with that. Then we have an industry professional program for people that want to work in the cannabis industry and they want to learn medicinal cannabis. How does this really work as a medicine? And give me an overview of the industry, the conditions that it's best suited to treat, and how I can get involved. And then the big healthcare course has the most comprehensive compendium of everything that you could possibly need to learn and to really attain and retain and practice with this, along with the masterminds and the clinical mentoring. Because, as you mentioned, you get out of nursing school and you're like, you don't know what to do. It's like all of a sudden take the blinders off and you see the whole system and you're like, oh my God, how do I even start? And
Exactly.
we teach you that. We give the nurses and the coaches the grounding to understand how to approach this as another pathway for patient care, and how to run a business, because there's no hospital to be giving you a paycheck at the end of the month. This is a very entrepreneurial business, and it can be dangerous out there. So I kind of like to think about the nurses that are under me as literally under my wings,
under the umbrella.
Under the umbrella, right? But they need protection, because there are nurses and coaches out there with such great hearts and minds, and they're good clinicians, and they want to be able to step out and to do this, but they don't have a clue on where to start, or how to network, or what to learn, and then how to do this as a real position for something that they can do part-time. And then eventually, as legalization happens and more people put their hand up and say, I want this option, then we will have the workforce ready to serve them. So that is why holistic caring programs are the best in the industry.
Excellent. I'm going to jump in and add something.
Go ahead.
I'm going to jump in. So 2 things. First thing is that, remember, practical application, transfer of skills and knowledge. So again, having those extension activities in there is incredibly important, but also that it's for working professionals. So I design the programs with working professional in mind. So the first question that people ask is, how long does it take? It's all self-paced. So it takes as long or as short of a time as you want it to. I mean, there are some of our nurses that are currently unemployed. So they have, put the pedal to the metal and they finish the program in a week, right? And that's super intense, super intense. Then you have other people that it's been over a year and they still have not finished, because again, they're working. So It's really at your own pace. And I really want people to understand that there is no window of time. It's how well do you want to integrate cannabis medicine into your practice? How quickly are you to set up your business if you're choosing to do consulting with patients and things like that? And so really, again, it's at your own pace. But what I want to really drive home is that we're here to support and guide every step of the way, which is another unique thing about our program that isn't with other programs, is that you don't have people, you buy a program and then, good luck, you're on your own. You don't have anyone to ask questions to. But here, there's the 3 of us to ask questions to, and then you can receive an answer fairly quickly. All of us are very good about responding as quickly as possible.
Well, and we have other nurse mentors, and Heather and Jana and some of the other, and Dr. Leah, our clinical pharmacist, who's helping me write protocols on long-term care medicines, etc. But the other great thing about the platform is that this course platform opens in an app. You can have an app to go through the course on your phone. And I talk about this with patients, right? Somebody buys the Cannabis and Cancer module. They could watch that with their provider. They could watch it with their families. They could take that wherever they go, and you can play it repeatedly. And there's videos, and there's lectures, and there's slides that you can download, and really make this into your next paradigm on how you want to treat your body, mind, spirit. And it's all on the go. So the app is just absolutely amazing. And then that plays the network into a Facebook platform where we have a closed group where we won't be shut down. We can talk about cannabis all day long. And we can interact with each other and comment on these threads and learn and grow from each other in this community. So that is really what sets this apart.
Yeah. Holistic caring community programs are the best in the industry. On-demand learning, start anytime and complete at your own pace. Holistic Caring offers the best value in market in terms of content, practicality, and quality. Participants from all educational and professional backgrounds are welcome. There's continuing education credits up to 12 units with each of the different programs. And the programs offer business in a box. It's a toolkit designed to help launch a turnkey practice for those that want to start their own practice. And then the mastermind panels on clinical case studies, business development, and marketing. Really, really comprehensive. It is the one-stop shop. And, really, really, really excited to continue to build this.
Yeah,
So,
I was just talking about continuing education, the CE. So 12 hours for nurses. But the other thing is that I'm working on getting other licenses to be able to get CE. So for chiropractors, acupuncture, naturopath, and physicians, we are working on fundraising so that we can make sure that that happens. But I have the providers lined up so that eventually this will be accredited for all licenses.
Absolutely.
And we're looking into international accreditation for them as well.
Yeah.
International.
That's a big deal.
Global. Yep.
Yeah.
The holistic caring.
International accreditation, not just national, international accreditation.
I knew we would be going global, right? Here we go. We're the Green Nurse Entourage. We come together in synergy, the one-stop shop. Really, really excited to continue on this journey with both of you. I want to mention your book because we have a book club that's coming up. So this is another reason why you all want to get into the community today. Right? We have a book club that's starting up. Elizabeth wrote this book, Cannabis for Health, Become a Coach. Really, really great book. I've gone through it, and we're going to go through it in the community, in the Holistic Caring Community Network. We're going to go through it chapter by chapter. We'll be able to read it and discuss it, and you can ask questions. So that's a really good thing. Tasha, when is that coming up?
The first one is going to be August 23rd at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and every other times in between. And also, it's going to be, I think we said the fourth Monday of every month.
Fourth Monday
of every month. Yeah. So it's going to be the last Monday of every, the fourth Monday of every month. So make sure that you guys mark your calendars for that. So starting August 23rd, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then every month, the fourth Monday of every month.
And all right. On that book, if you guys want a personalized autograph book, write me an email, Elizabeth with an S, at holisticcaring.com, and tell me you want to buy the book. And I will send you an autographed copy, writing a little note to you in the front of that book. So
I got my note.
Yeah,
she signed my book, and I was so honored. Let's change the world. I'm like, yes, I'm on board.
Change the paradigm of healthcare.
Change the paradigm of healthcare. Absolutely. That's what we're here to do. We're here to change the paradigm of healthcare. We're in revolutionary times where we are changing how we approach and take care of patients with plant medicines and other progressive tools that support and nourish the endocannabinoid system. Really grateful to have you both on tonight. This is our live, what do I call it, press release. We're plugging ourselves because we know we have something good. And you know what? And as a nurse, you've heard me say it over and over again. I have an obligation to share information if I know it's going to help or save someone's life. So come join us. Ladies, you guys are awesome. We're on this journey together. And remember, everyone, really, really, really what it is all about. It's about living your best life and helping others do the same. Join us at the Green Nurse Holistic Caring Community, and we're here for you. Any last words, ladies?
Well,
we look forward. Oh, go ahead, Elizabeth. And then I'll go next. Okay. I just want to say that I am truly honored to be on this journey. And it's not just with Elizabeth and Sherry. It's all of our nurses, all of the other providers, especially the patients, just being able to be a connector, because I'm mostly in charge of the community. And so I get in, I try to learn people's story so that if there is a need, I can connect people together. I was able to do that with one patient. He was looking for a very specific medicine. And then, just so happened that a couple of weeks later, one of our providers was having a conversation with me, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need you to connect with this patient. And so just being able to be on this journey is not only humbling, but just really just so proud to be able to be a part of educating in a new way, and to be a part of You know, we've all seen the effects of what I call runaway healthcare. And so being able to empower people and bring that back to be a leader in that is just like an awe-inspiring experience. And so I just want to say thank you to our audience and thank you to all of the people that join our network, because I know that it's not easy to make the transition from conventional medicine into plant medicine or to cannabis medicine. And so thank you for trusting us. And, you know, we look forward to working with all of you.
Yeah, and thank you, Tasha. And, you know, thank you for the invitation to be on this show. You know, one of the main reasons that I do this, I always say it's for the patients, but it's also for the plant. This plant is the most exciting part of what we do, because we've only scratched the surface of how we're going to utilize this plant to truly heal the human body and pets and everybody with an endocannabinoid system, which goes back 500 million years as an evolutionary biology. And, you know, when we think about this plant, I use the word pleiotropic all the time. Pleiotropic means that it's going to have simultaneous effects in human physiology, which is why you can take it for inflammation, like my shoulder injuries, but then the muscle spasms went away. And then over time, as I started to reduce some of the other pharmaceuticals, the blood pressure started to go down, and I slept better, and I wasn't depressed, and I was eating better, and the GERD went away because of the pleiotropic effects of this plant in our body. So when we think about the inflammation, and cannabis is a very potent anti-inflammatory. When we think about the pain, cannabis is an analgesic. When we think about, you know, seizures and convulsions, it's an anticonvulsant. Autism, you know, we've got neurological, gut, and immune compromise. It heals all of those. So when we're looking at this plant in the preclinical data on the anti-cancer properties, you know, triggering apoptosis and getting tumor cells to shrink, limiting the proliferation of cancer cells, limiting metastasis, and putting cancer cells under siege so they can't get nutrients and grow. All of the abilities to be able to perhaps erode some of the beta amyloid plaques that are clogging up brains in our seniors and our elders, and managing behavior so that we don't need antipsychotics, and we can get people on something that is going to be natural to manage anxiety and maybe even reset sleep cycles so the whole family dynamic changes. That is why I'm excited, because this plant truly can heal the world. Thank you.
And that's it. She said it. We're here to heal the world. The cannabis plant's there. Come join us at the Holistic Caring Green Nurse Network. We love you all. And remember, it is about living your best life and helping others do the same. Thank you for joining us tonight.